Hi everyone and welcome to another tutorial. Today I'm going to make a card and it's all about those flamingos. Did you know that a group of flamingos is called a flamboyance? So today I am going to make this card. I have colored way too many flamingos, but I had a lot of fun just coloring them and cutting them out in front of the TV as usual. So the first thing is I'm going to make some hills and a little sea, and I'm going to do that through my favorite smooching technique. I'm using speckled egg here, and what I do is I first make kind of a base color, and then I dry it with my heat tool, my Tim Holtz heat tool, and then I do kind of pick up those little bubbles to give it a little bit more of a texture. For the second piece, I am using Saltwater Taffy for the base. However, it is a big piece of cardstock. I usually try to not use bigger than like 4 1/4 by 5.5, but I wanted to use this for 2 hills, so I used it a little bit longer, or made it a little bit longer. So I had to add some more ink. Then I'm going in with some splatters. For the blue, I'm starting off with the Peacock feathers, and for the Saltwater Taffy, I am using worn lipstick for splatters. I love making little splatters on these to kind of break up those solid colors. Then I'm going to go in with some ground espresso. This is one of my favorite colors to add extra splatters with. I've been using that for years, because it also adds like another dimension in those splatters with a separate color. And to finish it off, I'm going to use some gold. This is like a little bit of a warmer gold, almost coppery gold, just to add a little bit shine and a little bit more dimension to my kind of little cards. Then I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna cut down these pieces, and I am using a stencil, and I'm not blending on that stencil. Instead, I'm just using it as a template, which you can do with stencils if you want to. Like these kind of stencil, these hills stencils, they are really good to use for blending, but they're also really good to use as templates. I'm gonna cut out this hill that I just draw with that pencil with my long-nosed scissors, because they will help you make a straighter line. Hindsight is 2020, as usual. I would have made this hill a little bit higher, so that I would have a little bit more, that the pink part of the card would be a little bit higher, because I feel that the card in the end is slightly unbalanced because of the placement of the hills. I would have liked to have the hills a little bit higher. However, because of how I made them and how I want my hills to intersect on the card, it ended up being a little bit too low. When I have cut this out, I kind of go in and I add the lower hill on top of the higher hill, kind of figuring out how I wanted them to intersect. And when I figured that out, I will mark on the side in pencil where I wanted to cut it, and then I'm going to use my Fiskus trimmer to cut it down. So quite simple technique to make the hills, and something anyone can do. You can also just draw the hills on. However, I really feel the bend of the hills on the stencil is perfect, and I already have the stencils in my stash, so why not use it? Here I cut off a teeny tiny piece of my hills. It is a 1/4 inch that I'm cutting off, so that I get a 8-inch border around it on the card. It also helps moving those hills a little bit higher on the cards. Then I'm gonna also, after I've done this and I have looked at it, I'm gonna tape them together with a tape runner. Right now I'm using the Nuvo tape runner. Kind of like it. It's small and it fits very good in my hand. However, it can run out pretty fast, which I don't really like about it. But it's as with any tape runner, most of them do run out pretty fast. The next step I have here is going to be to cut out these little kind of sea areas, I would call them probably, or water areas. Whenever I see flamingos, I always see them wading in water, so I thought I make that from the blue cardstock. By the way, the cardstock I'm using is the Montewall watercolor cardstock by Canson. It is 200 GSM, and I really like using it for my smooching technique. You can use a lot of different materials, and I do have a video on both different like inks and watercolors to make the smooching technique with, but also different kinds of cardstock and why I prefer the Montewall cardstock. And I will link that at the end of the video so you can go and look at that if you haven't already seen it. Now we're gonna start decorating, and the Paradise Pals stamp set, that is the bigger pink flamingos come from, also have these cute little oh god, coconut trees? Palm trees, that's the word. Sometimes words don't want to come to you, but these cute little palm trees. I am using 5 of them. I'm using them, one to kind of add a little bit of dimension to the card. So I kind of raise that little hill. I still feel that the hill got a little bit too low there. But I have made 5 of them, and that is because making 5 of them gets you that uneven amount that is very soothing for your eye. So therefore I use 5, and I use them in a grouping of 3 and a grouping of 2, just to give kind of frame the card. That is kind of the idea behind it. That is not how I think about it when I make cards. I am a very instinctual card maker, but as I already know these techniques, I can explain it afterwards why I'm using these things. But when I'm making cards, I'm extremely instinctual. I'm just picking things and putting them together, and sometimes it works and sometimes it don't. That's just part of the card making. You won't make a perfect card every time, and that is also why I always talk about what I would change with a card if I would redo it. Then I'm going to add all of these flamingos. These flamingos, the pink ones, are from the Paradise Pals stamp set. I really like them, and they were the inspiration of this card. So I also wanted to use as many as I could, and I think I got out like 60 of them. I am not using 60 of them. The first idea of this card was actually to make a couple of different like groupings. However, I realized these flamingos are all watching the same direction, and making a little puddle of them on the other side of the card watching that direction wouldn't really work. And that is why I ended up just having 2 groupings. The second grouping that I have is a little flamingo from the Top of the World stamp set, and I have colored it gray, and that is because baby flamingos are gray. So I thought they could be kind of have the adult in one group and the little babies in another group. Also, this helps again frame the card, having these flamingos looking at each other. Just having the flamingos on one side in this kind of grouping might have made the card a little bit unbalanced, and therefore I chose to go in with those little baby flamingos. But however, if you just do like a simple grouping, a small grouping, just like with a lot of white space on the card, just having the flamingos that look in one direction would actually work pretty good. To finish off with my little flamingos, I'm adding a couple more because I felt it was a little bit empty at the bottom here. And yeah, it's all of the flamingos. I don't know if I counted them, but they there are a lot of them, and I still have a lot of the flamingos left, so I'm gonna have to make more creations with this. I now put out my Misty because I'm gonna stamp with the Distress inks, and stamping with the Distress inks won't give you a perfect stamp, guaranteed from the first time, because they are distressed ink. The whole idea behind them is to get a distressed look. So what I do is I use my Misty, and then I just add that stamp into that one, because then I can stamp it multiple times. Here I realized that the thickness where I had my flamingos was a little bit too thick, so it doesn't close perfectly. And it doesn't close perfectly, that's just how it is. I could have opened it up and used my bigger Misty. However, kind of like using the small one. It is more comfortable. I'm using some, I think I used one lipstick. It can be Saltwater Taffy, but I think it was one lipstick here. And I am just adding the sentiment, and I'm doing a double stamp so that I get a little bit better of a full coverage on that stamp. Decided that that was enough. It is the Saltwater Taffy, by the way, that I'm using for the sentiment. Yeah. You never know. They're very similar color, I have realized. But yeah, that finishes off the card. I was thinking of doing more things, but I realized, hey, I kind of like it the way it is. I would have moved down that sentiment though, kind of like a half an inch or something, again, to balance the card a little bit. But yes, thank you so much for watching this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please thumbs it up. It means a lot to me. If you have any comments, comment down below. Down below you also find the description where you find all the details of the cards and all the supplies used. If you want to see more videos like this, please hit that subscribe button. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye!